authorization of generic drugs. این تاپیک شماره چندیم الان؟ این الان گفته که equivalence drug substitution، ولی what is the generic drug, what is the definition of generic drug تاپیک شماره 6. What are the main characteristics of the authorization of generic. اوکی؟ ما میخوایم authorization of generic ها بخونیم. نه. generic drug به حالت شورت یا خود generics، generic drug یا generics. میبینی؟ generic drug یا چی generics is a drug in which که در اون is a drug which is produced and distributed without patent protection. Patenty نداره. The generic drug may still have a patent on the formulation but not on the active ingredient. میتونه فرمولیشنش پتنت کنه ولی active ingredientش رو نمیتونه. A generic must contain the same active ingredients as the original formulation. generic بایستی same active ingredient مثل original داشته باشه. plus different salts, different ester, different isomer که approved if their bioavailability is same. بایستی approve بشه که bioavailabilityش چیه؟ same. Generic drugs are identical or within an acceptable bioequivalent range to the brand name. بایستی bioequivalent باشه با brand name خودش. Counterpart with respect to pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic property. با توجه به چی؟ pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic properties. By extension, therefore, generics are considered identical in dose, strength, route of administration, safety, efficacy, and intended use. بایستید با چه چیزایی identical باشه با داروی اوریجینال خودش؟ دوزش، strength، قدرتش، route of administration، safety، efficacy و intended use. اوکی؟ Authorization of generic drugs. Generic medicinal products submit abridged application but are not required to repeat preclinical and clinical trials. Indeed, it would be unethical to do so. Even so, the documentation and data required is extensive and very specific. پس generic medicinal product submit abridged application. دیگه احتیاجی به گفتیم abridged یعنی shortened، یعنی قبلا انجام شده ما فقط به کارهای جدید انجام میدیم. کارهای جدید مثل چیا؟
اضافه کنیم باید چیز کنیم.
اینا که تعریف چیزه. abridged یعنی application can be used for new drug formula, new indication, new dosage, new producer, new administer route.
یعنی کلا جدید بشه فقط active ingredient.
یعنی avoid the need to unnecessarily repeat the test and trials of the product if the same or similar product has already received marketing authorization. ادامه میدیم. Generic medicines application typically include chemical pharmaceutical data and the result of bioequivalence study. Generic medicine application ها typically include chemical pharmaceutical data and the result of bioequivalence study which demonstrate the quality and the essential similarity of the product. پس generic ها باید typically include chemical pharmaceutical data and the result of bioequivalence study شون رو ارائه بدن، document کنن which demonstrate که نشان میدهد the quality and the essential similarity of the product. For information concerning the safety and efficacy of the molecule, the regulatory agency are referred to the data that was established in the originator product's application for authorization. But for information concerning the safety and the efficacy of the molecule, the regulatory agency are referred to the data was established in the originator product. میاد اینا رو safety efficacy با originator product چیکار میکنه؟ مقایسه میکنه. safety و efficacy مولکول با اون مقایسه میکنه. This is only possible once the data exclusively period has expired on that dossier. و این فقط هنگامی ممکنه که دیتاهای قبلی exclusively period has expired on that dossier. اگه تو دوزیره ها و این پوشه ها و داکیومنت های فعلی چیز نشده باشه، اکسپایر نشده باشه، پاسیبله که ما دیتا ها رو اکسکلوسیولی چیکار کنیم؟ بگو ریفر کنیم و مقایسه بکنیم. قبوله؟ پس چه اینفورمیشن هایی؟ safety and efficacy. Authorization of generic drugs. A generic drug is a pharmaceutical product usually intended to be interchangeable with an innovator product that is manufactured without a license from the innovator company. اینا بدون لایسنس from innovator company میتونن کارشون رو انجام بدن and marketed after the expiry dates of the patent and data exclusively period. تو هانگری 6 years و تو centralized procedure 10 years که گفت که centralized اون 10 سالم برای کیا بود؟ برای اونایی که rare disease و اورفانا درست میکردن. اوکی؟
چرا گفت 6 سال تو هانگری؟ مگه
تو هانگری 6 سال بعد از اینکه اون اینوویتور داد تو بازار 6 سال بعد میتونن مارکت رو بگیرن. حالا گفته که dates and market exclusively. نگاه کن. Data exclusively affects the application of a generic medicine. بگو affect the application of generic medicine. Market authorization of a reference product انجام میشه تا 8 سال. generic application اینجا که معمولا حالا به جای 8 سال تو اروپا تو کل دنیا میگه مجارستان 6 سال. اوکی؟ بعد از اون 2 years generic launch no new patent. پتنت جدیدی انجام نمیشه و 1 سال بعدش هم تونه انجام بشه. data exclusively, market exclusively ولی assessment of marketed authorization granted, pricing and reimbursement prepared to launch. تا 1 سال بعد اینجا که رسید تازه ریمبرسمنت و بیمه و اینا میاد جلو. extra market exclusively if new indication is registered in first 8 years. اگر نیو ایندیکیشن ریجیستر شده باشه in the first 8 years اوکی extra market exclusively میتونه انجام بشه. یعنی مثلا طرف یه پماد چیزی ساخته حالا قرصش هم داره از اینجا از این وسطای اینا میسازه، قرصش هم داره پتنت میکنه.
میگه من نگفتیم 20 ساله. من
پس داره میگه 8 به علاوه 2 به علاوه 1. خب گفت چند سالم قبلشه که داره مولکول روش تحقیق میکنه دیگه. به این میگن for all marketing authorization procedure. اگه بگه how many data of exclusively formula میگه 8 plus 2 plus 1 8 plus 2 plus 1 data exclusively market exclusively. بعد میگه myth questions fact about the generic drug in Europe generic and biosimilar initiative journal میاد اینا رو میده بیرون که کی داره پتنتش میره کی میره کی میاد. اوکی؟ Authorization of generic drug. The applicant needs to provide proof that the originator product has been authorized for at least 8 years. applicant احتیاج داره که فراهم بکنه یه اثباتی برای اینکه originator product has been authorized for at least 8 years or that the originator company has issued a written informed consent stating that the generic company is permitted to apply for its generic drug sooner. فقط کارخونه اصلی میتونه اجازه بده به جنریک کمپانیا اوکی که جنریک دراگو سونر بدن تو بازار. As a rule, however, the earliest a generic medicinal product is allowed to go on sale is 10 years after the first European originator. به عنوان قانون به هر حال the earliest originator medicinal product 10 ساله یعنی 8 به علاوه 2. اوکی؟ Marketing order. This 10 years market exclusively can be extended by an additional year اون یه ساله if during the first 8 years the marketing authorization holder of the originator obtain an additional authorization for one or more new relevant therapeutic indication. اگر یک تراپی جدیدی پیدا کرده باشه میتونه اینو extend کنه، میتونه بیشترش بکنه. extended by an additional year. قبوله؟ اینم اون گفته. Authorization of generic drug. Generic drug are marketed under a non-proprietary بود چی؟ پروپرتی بود این قبلا. پروپرتاری تلفظش عوض شده. املاش یعنی عوض شده. اختصاصی
proprietary, proprietary,
proprietary
proprietary,
propriety
proprietary,
proprietary proprietary or approved name rather than a proprietary or brand name. generic drug میتونه مارکت بکنه تحت non proprietary، یه نام غیر اختصاصی، یه نامی که approve نشده باشه rather than a proprietary یا brand name. میتونه با brand name اصلی دارو رو بزنه بیرون. اوکی. generic drug are frequently as effective as but much cheaper than the brand name drug. خیلی موثره، مثل هم باید موثر باشه، ولی چی؟ چرا ارز داره؟ چون دیگه اونا کارهای کلینیکال تریال و اینا رو انجام ندادن. حالا parallel import license. The European Commission has published a communication clarifying how the principle of free movement of goods within the Europe applies in practice to parallel imports of medicinal products. Parallel imports are products، اون product هایی هستن که imported into one member state of the Europe from another and placed on the market in the destination member state outside the manufacturer or its licensed distributor formal channels. In the case of medicine, such imports are allowed if the product imported is identical or sufficiently similar to one already authorized for sale in the member state of destination, aiming to help business and national administration take full advantage of the internal market in medicinal products. The communication covers the rights and obligations of the parties concerned and the guarantees to which they are entitled according to the European law. In the pharmaceutical sector, parallel trade benefits from the divergence in price set by national governments to control their healthcare expenditure. In pharmaceutical sector, parallel trade benefits sude from the divergence in price set by national governments to control the healthcare expenditure. Whilst they are legal, parallel import of medicinal products may be restricted if they constitute a risk to the protection of the human health and life and the protection of industrial and commercial property. The communication aims هدفش اینه که to reaffirm the principle of free movement for the pharmaceutical sector and define the legal limit with the respect to parallel import. پس parallel import یعنی از یک کشور به کشور دیگه آزادانه بره و بیاد، قیمتش هم تغییر زیادی نکنه. این خوبیش اینه که به شرط اینکه sufficiently identical باشه برای کشور معلوم، هلسی باشه، افیکیسیش معلوم باشه، اوکی، رو ژنتیک کشور مقصد destination یعنی مقصدمون، و اینکه according to the rule باشه. بعد دیگه چی فهمیدیم از اینجا؟ اینکه سودش این parallel trade سودش از divergence in price، قیمت ها مختلفه، کشور مختلف یورو قیمتش بالا پایین میره. اوکی، این یکی از بنفیتاشه، بهتر میشه برامون. ولی بعدش اینه که لیمیت داره. اگه اصلا لیمیت پروتکشن داشته باشه، نه، ما باید لگال لیمیت براش ایجاد بکنیم که به ضربه به شرکت مبدأ نزنه.
خیلی نتونه بیاره کنه.
آره، یعنی خیلی وارد نکنه. Parallel import license. A parallel imported medicinal product may be distributed under a license obtained through a simpler procedures than that for the initial marketing authorization for the product, provided that the parallel sales do not pose a risk to public health. اگر ریسکی برای public health نداشته باشه. According to the Commission, these simplified procedures for parallel imports is justified by the fact that the product in question has already received a marketing authorization on the basis of full technical information. They qualify for the simplified procedure. The parallel imported medicinal products must satisfy two conditions. It must have been granted a marketing authorization in the member state of the origin and be sufficiently similar to a product has been already received marketing authorization in the member state of destination. تو اوریجینش بایستی گرانت شده باشه، اپروو شده باشه، ثبت شده باشه و توی کشور مخصص sufficiently similar to product has already received marketing authorization. مثل داری که تا marketing authorization گرفته بایستی سیمیلار باشه محصول، اوکی؟ یعنی شرایطش قانونی رو داشته باشه. The similarity between two pharmaceutical products is considered to be sufficient when the two products have been manufactured according to the same formulation, using the same active ingredient and have the same therapeutic effect. A parallel imported medicinal product can also be distributed under the simplified procedures even if the similar product upon which its license is based is no longer available on the market, provided that public health requirements are met. A public health requirement بایستی در نظر گرفته بشود. Thank you for your attention. Have a good night. Bye bye.